have a look at who is guest of the King and Queen today. Some well-known names. Sir Mark Prescott, of course, who is the senior trainer at Newmarket, and Lizzie Spender, of whom more shortly. Delighted to welcome Princess Eugenie and also Jack Brooksbank. And what a terrific tribute it is to Royal Ascot that with Princess Eugenie arriving today, all the senior members of the royal family have appeared here at least once this week. Ed Walker and his wife, up-and-coming trainer, of course. And then in the third carriage, very much, I suspect, a question of insurance under discussion. The Master of Horse, the Lord Ashton of Hyde and his wife, and one of Ascot's partners, Chief Executive of Howden, David Howden, and his wife, Fiona. And then in the fourth carriage, Rory Bremner and his wife, and Nicky Henderson and his wife. Great racing personalities, of course. We've had earlier in the week Willie Mullins and his wife William Haggis in the procession as well. And so we have two husband and wife trainers in this procession on the final day, the Saturday, a day which of course was brought in to celebrate a jubilee, and a day which perhaps has a slightly different feel to it to the previous four, but is nonetheless a day to savour, and for many who work during the week, the one opportunity to sample the quite unique atmosphere that is Royal Ascot. You look to the gates, away in the distance, to the right from the stands and to the left from the infield. And the King and the Queen and their guests come from Windsor Castle down the Long Walk. Of course, the Long Walk is the name of our most famous jumps race of the season, sponsored by David Howden and his company, and David in the royal procession today. And now the Windsor Greys, who once again all get gold stars from head teacher for their week's work, now arrive, and through the golden gates they come. And our first chance to have a look at the Sovereign's outfit. And there you see with the King and the Queen, Sir Mark Prescott, who has been training for so many years at Newmarket, senior trainer, enjoyed his best ever day when Up and Easter won the 2022 Arc. He's got Trooper Bisdee in the last race here today, and they completed the front carriage with Lizzie Spender, actress whose credits include episodes of The Professionals and Sherlock Holmes. I'm sure has provided fascinating company for Sir Mark. One of the great characters of racing and one of the most revered and respected. And how much people would love to see him back in the winner's enclosure. And a look as well at Her Majesty the Queen's outfit, which many of you will see later when she makes the presentation following the third race today, the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Stakes. People have been queuing for the best vantage points here for some hours. This is the start of the day that will end with the traditional singing round the bandstand, and I suspect an extra fortissimo added to We'll Meet Again, because this does feel a bit like the end of term, and you've got 360 days to wait for the start of the next. And how great to welcome Princess Eugenie, what an outfit she has on, with her husband, Jack Brooksbank. Eugenie, of course, is the King's niece, and they have two sons. And the other side is Ed Walker and his wife, Camilla. And Ed knows what it's like to have a Royal Ascot winner He's having a very good season, and so far the highlight surely are right up there. Never Let Go, winning the Sandringham yesterday. Really welcome addition to the top table of the trainers in this country from his base in Lambourne. And to carriage 3, Lord Ashton of Hyde and his wife Emma on the far side. And welcome to David Howden and his wife Fiona. David is the CEO and founder of Howden Global Insurance, who are an official partner of Ascot. And he owned the winner of the 2024 Duke of Cambridge Stakes in the horse could not follow it up running Lion and finished placed in it this year, but his love of and concern of horses stretched to, in 2024, launching TAP, Thoroughbred Aftercare program to find second careers. And he also hosts the Cormery House Horse Trials. Lord Ashton is Master of Horse. It's a ceremonial title that Lord Vestey had for years, but he does oversee the Royal Mews, and he will be as impressed as anybody by the wondrous work that's been done by the staff this week. Remember, of course, they had a small matter of trooping the colour just a week ago in London, and the Garter service in their diaries. And those greys looking absolutely magnificent. And the 4th carriage, nearest us, on the left, Nicky Henderson. Well, what can you say about the man? 6 times champion trainer, won just about everything with the exception of the Grand National, but don't mention it, particularly not at this time of year, with his wife Sophie. And with them are a certain Rory Bremner, who I'm sure has provided real entertainment at lunch, and his wife Tessa, who's very much a sculptor and a well-known name in her own right. She's been involved in the creation of the sculpture of Estimate, the late Queen's unforgettable winner of the Gold Cup. Rory, I was fascinated at reading his biography. He speaks French and German. Must be very useful to add that to an impressionist's CV. But there's much more youth amongst this crowd today. No schoolwork. No worry about what you're going to tell Mr. Sampson about why you didn't do your homework tomorrow. But way down by about the 3 furlong pole, absolutely packed. The weather has blessed Ascot this week, no question of that. But the horses have blessed Ascot this week. The royal family have blessed Ascot this week. But so has everyone who's come to enjoy 1 or more days. And one thing's for certain, as ever, those photographs will be cherished at least until next year. And if you look at this procession, you think also how marvellously regimented it is and how the carriages are spread almost immaculately apart. A very warm welcome for the King and Queen. Been with us all this week. And as they come now to the part of the course particularly well populated with the village on the inside and all the stands as well this side, you can actually see for yourselves how deep the crowd is. And you can also say that it is 3 cheers for His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen in time-honoured manner. great cheer as the band of the Household Cavalry perform the national anthem, and well done to them, bang in tune. Not easy to keep your instruments in tune in this heat, to say the least. But now those carriages turn and they go down the walkway that the winners will return down as the racing gets underway a little bit later. The 4 Ascot landauls that have been used for so many years, about to go back to the Royal Mews at Windsor Castle, where the footmen will complete their duties once they've safely disembarked their passengers. They go off the track, under the arch, and then emerge into another chorus of welcome from the thousands. And look at those vantage points. They were in very short supply some hours ago. And that is where the press get their views too. One more look there at the outfits in the front carriage. What a stunning outfit from Princess Eugenie. And the procession now turns under the 2 arches, where there'll be a fanfare of trumpets for the Group 1 winners later. Now the right turn, this quite deliberate to enable as many people as possible to get a close-up view of the arrival of the King and Queen and their guests. And the feature of the week has been a lot of mauve and purple, but Her Majesty has really led the way in the fashion stakes. I'm sure there's been a lot of work put in the days and weeks leading up to this. So they will turn past the statue of Yates, the most successful Gold Cup horse of the modern era. And there is Yates, you can see at the bottom of the picture. The receiving party headed by Sir Francis Brooke, who is the chairman of the Ascot Board of Directors and His Majesty's representative. He too a man with huge racing interests, and of course owned a Cheltenham winner a couple of years ago, Chianti Classico. Awaits the pleasure of greeting the chief guests to the final day of Royal Ascot 2025. Sir Mark, of course, will be here to saddle Trooper Bisdee in the traditional concluding race, the Queen Alexandra, the longest race in Britain on the flat, where they start at the gates and then come past for a mile, and then it's a complete circuit from then onwards. But we say thank you and well done to the entire team from the Royal Mews. As Her Majesty is the first to disembark from the front carriage, is greeted by Sir Francis, Lizzie Spender and Sir Mark Prescott precede His Majesty down those 2 short steps onto Ascot terra firma. Doesn't seem 5 minutes, does it, that we were doing this on Tuesday at the start of a week which has had so many headlines. Introduction to other members of the team. The trustees who, as members of the board of directors, actually look after Ascot on a day-by-day basis. And let me give a particular mention to a man on the end of this, who the King is now approaching, because Ascot have always looked after the staff in terms of their long service. And the man that the King is about to be introduced to, his name is Dean Sutherland. He's been on the Grand Staff team since the 1st of June 1981, been a member then for 44 years, first working as a greenkeeper on the golf course when it was run by Ascot, and now part of the gardening and grounds team. There he is, enjoying a moment that he'll never forget in acknowledgement of the most extraordinary service to the racecourse. So we count down towards the first race. One more chance in Royal Colours later, perhaps to bring the house down. But the longest 2-year-old race of the week is the Chesham Stakes. It's getting ever closer as His Majesty now heads towards the Royal Box. An umbrella is a precaution, one hopes, and they don't know something we don't about what the Almighty has in store. But what everybody has in store is an afternoon to savour. There you can see the stewards acknowledging the King and Queen, James Gibbon, the Chief Veterinary Advisor to the BHA, with Richard Westrop, one of the stewards, and nice touch by the King. Sean Parker, there, who's the head of stewarding for the British Horse Racing Authority, also gets the opportunity to meet with the King. And now the guests and the royal couple will make their way towards the Royal Box, and these 2-year-olds can make their way in. Been a quiet week in Stuart's Land. I don't want to tempt Providence, but let's hope that we have a day to remember for day 5. So the scene is set. We've welcomed the King and the Queen. And now let's find out who will win the Chesham Stakes as the countdown begins for our first at 2:30.